Mi gente, you already know who it is. It's the radioactive pop with Danny Limelight, United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Champion. And make sure you tune into the Alliance blog every week. You heard it here first. Straight from Poppy.
Rules?
There are no rules.
What rules?
This is a revolution, damn it!
You'll hear things you've never heard before.
What in the wide world of sports is going on here?
They want NWA? Let's give them NWA.
Who are those guys?
And then there's the other guys.
We're the other guys. We're the guys nobody ever bets on.
The following program is intended for mature audiences.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show.
It's time for the Other Alliance Guys podcast with your hosts, Tim, Dave, and Jeremy.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. What can we tell you? We are the Other Alliance Guys, a presentation of alliance-wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information around the National Wrestling Alliance, the United Wrestling Network, and various independents around the world. My name is Tim. I go by Alliance Gold, and this is Dave Scooby. He goes by Dave Scooby. How are you, Dave?
I'm doing well. Doing well.
I see Jeremy's just in the green room finishing up the M&Ms right now. I'm sure he'll jump in a second, but there you go. It's Scooby. It is Scooby. Yes. Scooby's here. Where else would he be? It's, you know, Dave, there's an old Chinese proverb or curse rather that says, may you live in interesting times. And I feel like in the National Wrestling Alliance right now, we live in interesting times.
Yeah.
It's and we're going to talk about it this week with everybody in the chat and obviously each other, but I cannot keep up. I have added more stuff to the little cheat sheet that we use in the background today because boy, it just seems like since NWA Sawin, there just seems to be more and more a new item every day, a new comment, a new story, new rumor, new innuendo. I don't know, man. What do you think overall before we get into it today?
It's definitely interesting times. I'm just going to wait and see what actually happens. But I mean, they may be going back to the territory days of the 70s and 80s where that kind of stuff was done. So who knows? I'm just going to wait and see what happens. There's really only a few people that actually know what's going on. Granted, they may have a TV deal, they may have a streaming app deal, they may have no deal at all. Who knows? But times are changing, and hopefully for the best. That they've ridden the storm out on several different things. Hopefully, well, I shouldn't say hopefully, but unfortunately, something else will happen in the world of sports entertainment, pro wrestling. Something else will happen to take the attention off of the NWA, at least for the time being. But I guess just wait and see what happens.
Yeah, that's all you can do is wait and see, and that's what I think we kind of miss as fans overall. It's just stand by and let it go past, and well, you know, this too shall pass, because something, like you say, always comes along. And you know, yeah, hey, look, here's what James H. Jackson says: it's a never-ending roller coaster ride for sure, but in a way, it's good the NWA is being talked about at all, in the sense that, you know, any publicity is good publicity, as some people believe. 100%. I remember last week, one of us said, "Hey, here's Jeremy." One of us said, you know, it's sad that the biggest thing coming out of Samhain is the cocaine spot, as it's being called. You know, that's what everybody's talking about, but everybody's talking about it, and everything that's happened since then has come out of that spot. So we'll talk about that, but we'll save that for a little bit. How you doing, Jeremy?
Doing well.
Glad to see you, man. How's your week been?
It's been a week.
It has been a week. It has been a week. So, as we mentioned, Willie's here. Money Mike's here. We love you, Mike. James H. Jackson Jr. is here. Noob & Co. is here. Welcome. Got a bunch of people in the chat. Don't feel free to speak up about what's going on in the NWA as we go along. But, guys, I thought maybe we'd start tonight with, you know, some of the real highlights and from Power last night. Now, Jay and DKM and Jaden will cover Power tomorrow night on their show when they go through it match by match and segment by segment. But I love to go through, especially on the season premiere, you know, some of the stuff that I really loved. Because I think it's important to focus on the strides that the NWA has made over the past year, right?
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
So one of them right off the bat, like, I love the opening segments that Joe Galley has been voicing. You know, they're filming it in sort of that studio background. You'll see like Aaron Stevens and Blunt Force Trauma and the smoke. You see the close-up kind of glamour shots kind of thing here, you know, where he'll like tap the belts with his brush and that kind of stuff. But with Joe Galley speaking and kind of teaching you what's going on with the with that team or the feud that they're in. I think it was Fuzzy in our Discord who said, "You can know nothing, Dave. You can know nothing about it and learn everything in like 1 minute flat."
Yep.
I thought it was super cool, and I think it's a really great addition to it. But Dave, you pointed out too, wish I could see the crowd.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only thing that's really missing. I mean, you can hear the crowd respond. The crowd, and I don't know. It just gives me verification that this indeed is happening. Granted, it is all taped, but it's that you're getting a live response, and it's not like, oh, WWE is piping in music or piping in crowd noise or this or this.
Yeah.
It's a verification that people are there and this is actually happening for me.
Yeah, and it's so much more intimate in that studio and environment. You can almost hear Sandoval going boo,
Yeah.
Like it's that close. So yeah, I'd love to be able to see them too. There's probably a decent sized crowd there watching. I think it would go a long way. Man, I miss Tim Storm, Jeremy. How about you?
I miss Tim Storm too.
Yeah.
But the man has bills to pay outside of that wrestling probably just doesn't cover.
Yeah.
It's I don't know, man. It's weird. I'd really like for. I understand that schedules happen and everything, but that's the one thing that I'd really like for the NWA moving forward is just a little bit more consistency. Just keeping people around.
I mean, tightening up those shooting days, right? Having more frequently or whatever.
Right.
Like they just had one and now they're going to Robarts. We'll talk about that. But that might help. And I don't mind Danny Deals. Like I thought he was a breath of fresh air when compared to Velvet beforehand. But I'm good to see Tim Storm come back.
Yeah,
I think that would be great. Return of the Heatseekers, guys. I'm a big Heatseekers fan, and what I really liked about seeing them come in, your brain sort of said, yeah, they're not going to win this one, but they looked good. They dominated probably, I thought, Dave, 60-70% of this match before the Southern Six turned it around.
Yeah. I was glad to see them. It was almost telegraphed that, okay, they're going against the Southern Six. They're going to build them back up. But as being I think, 4-time former NWA tag champs, they need to either do some undercard work where they're actually put over and get 1 or 2 wins here or there.
No.
Yes, I mean, they're part of the past, even though it's not the Lightning One era.
Yeah.
You're going to bring them in, acknowledge them somewhat, but I see where they're going, giving the Southern Six a win over a former NWA championship team.
Right. And they win by nefarious means, but
oh yeah, definitely.
But not, and I thought they looked great. I thought they were strong. Like I said, like even with later on in the match too, BFT and Magic Inc. They came out looking strong too when they lost. So it was a good kind of overall show for that. But talking about the Southern Six, Jeremy, they felt to me like I've kind of been going, oh, it's a Southern Six again. It kind of felt for me like the Southern Six sort of hit their groove a little bit on Power. They had the glasses, they had the cool. They mentioned the Iron Claw movie. Was it better for you, or am I just dreaming right now?
No, it was definitely felt a lot more polished, more buttoned up. I think they've been sitting down and doing some workshopping here and there, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Getting that rapport with each other,
a
lot tighter and everything. And that goes back to closer taping schedules as well.
Right.
If they're doing it every month or every month and a half, 2 months tops, that leaves little room for them to lose their path.
That's true. Money Mike says, yeah, Tim, and it was that way with the Seekers due to Sigmund, Russell, and Morton are good friends. Same with Thrilly. this made them look good, but the Seekers need more NWA time, except for a one-off. It kind of came together for me, like I said, and thought it was really smart. I wonder if he thought of it on his own, or someone just maybe reminded him. Bring in that Iron Claw movie. Now that it's just starting to come into theaters, it's just trickling in now. I think it's coming. Somebody put in the Discord and DK's area down in Dallas. It premieres like tonight or tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so it's here. I got to give credit while I'm thinking about it, though, to Matthew Underwood, who said, if they'd really thought about this, they could have kept Brady Pierce around for a taping and had him come out, for a national title feud around that movie. I was the star of the group in that movie, not you. I'm better than you, whatever. Make it about the national title, man. Like, just tie it in. I got to agree. They missed an opportunity there.
Yeah. Big whip.
Yeah. Dave, how did you like Max the Impaler coming out with the TJPW Princess Championship and her NWA World Women's Television title?
I loved it, and the only thing that could make me smile even more is if at the next pay-per-view and or tapings, somebody starts a chant of Princess Max.
Princess Max. Yeah.
At least when Max has that belt, it's one of these things you have to learn to blur the lines. Now, Max is non-binary, so as much as I'm an older guy, I still have to basically accept what's given me. And the way that they are basically saying Max is the Princess Champion and the Women's TV Champion. It's one of these things, okay, respect the pronouns. I don't have to personally live that way, but give respect to any and all people that want to live that way.
Yeah.
So it's one of these things of you don't have to always agree to enjoy something. I enjoy Max as a wrestler, not a non-binary wrestler, not a female wrestler, just as a wrestler. Mm-hmm. Wherever they choose to take Max and insert Max into a feud with wrestler A, wrestler B, whatever, that's up to them. I just enjoy watching Max come out and wrestle. And in the Discord, I had written, the day that Max ends up speaking, shit's going to just go sideways. It's going to freak. It's going to be like when Camille finally broke down and spoke, and you heard Camille speak for the first time, and people are like, "Oh, well, it won't happen," or this or this. No, it may not happen, but that means Max as a wrestler, you don't have to say, "Oh, Max is a heel, Max is a face." Max is just Max.
Max is Max.
But Max would go over totally as a baby face.
Oh yeah, and I think does in some areas, right?
Yeah, it's one of these things of save it for when it makes the most sense. And right now it doesn't make that sense. Just use Max the way you've been using Max in the past, and it's going to. I don't see anybody coming in and beating Max for that championship.
Yeah.
So it's going to go 7, and then there's going to be Kenzie. I feel sorry for you.
Yeah, because you're doing a great job.
Yeah.
But Max.
But it's one of these things. Either way, Max as the holder of the Burke or Max even losing to Kenzie, it doesn't hurt Max to lose every once in a while.
Sure, it does not. Yeah, you know what? As you said, like a baby face or as a heel, There was a probably 6 months ago. Max posted a picture of themselves, I think in Japan, with a Japanese female wrestler there, and there was like flowers around them, and like Max was in their Max gimmick and get up, but just like smiling, and the caption was Max loves so and so, right?
Yeah.
And it reminded me of the scene from that Frankenstein movie back in the 30s with Boris Karloff, where he's sitting in a field full of flowers with the little girl.
Yep.
Like that's what, as a baby face, as a heel, it works for me. And I love seeing the two titles too. It's so cool that, to have the what's it called again? The TJPW?
Princess Championship, yes.
Yeah, Princess Championship. What did you think, Jeremy?
I didn't watch it.
What? Oh, you happy to have Max carrying 2 belts in the NWA?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. That's just too cool.
It sends a statement.
Yeah.
I have 2 belts. Fuck with me.
Yeah, Jeremy. Mike said, "Don't blame you." Come on, it was a good episode of Power. I'm going to go back to some of this to Mike's stuff here. Glad that Max squashed their opponent, but come on, Max's opponent hit her fucking harder, except for a little slap. You should have seen Max's face on her with that hit. Yeah, necessary for Max just to no sell there. I thought it was, it served the purpose well as well. You're talking about pronouns, Dave. Mike says, I don't care of Max pronouns or anything else in their lives, and I care for the wrestling. Hopefully that's there's no more politics are brought up into the matches. You know what the best politics are for Max in wrestling? It's when they were in that like battle royal, I think it was, and I think Dax Draper, someone turned around and went, I don't know what to do here. That's as political as I'd like it to get, really, myself as well. But yeah, I like Max as a talent, just like you, Scooby. I think they're amazing. Kenzie Page is going to lose another title to Max again. Yeah, I got a great picture at 75 right in front of us, and when Max had picked Kenzie up and Kenzie screaming, "Help me," to my wife. It was good. Mike says, I have 1 big belt. JC Petty, 3X. Cost me $23. Yeah, Draper has a reaction to Max in that battle royal. What else? The King Bees. Do either of you guys know the King Bees who debuted on the match? I gather their last names are King and B. How about you, Dave? Have you heard of them before?
Well, I have. It's Danny B and I think Charity King. So it's the King Bees, because I'm thinking, well, why King Bees? Well, it's their last name.
Yeah.
They work down in Texas. They've worked for Mission Pro. They've worked with Jazz and Rodney doing Dog Pound Wrestling. I've watched some of their matches. They've either tagged together or they've battled against each other. I do like that they are an actual tag team in real life. They have gear. It's one of these things that every taping and every pay-per-view, if they can bring in 1 or 2 either singles or tag team on the female side, it keeps it fresh.
Sure.
Especially at the tapings, if they have a match and then they end up going against the champions down the line at another pay-per-view, or they battle another team where we're competing to go against the champions. It's just build up these teams, and if they become the contender, then the losing team has to then step up and battle again to go after the belts.
Right.
So you're slowly but surely building up some teams, even if they bring them in only for tapings. So it's one of these things of, we'll see. I've watched some of their matches and they can wrestle. So we'll just see how they do going down the line against Pretty Empowered. So,
right. May Valentine is 5'7". I just looked it up. They were way shorter than her.
that's one thing I had written notes about. If they're interviewing people in the back, I know May likes to dress up, but she doesn't need to wear 5-foot heels or 5-inch heels.
Yeah.
Make her shorter. That's the one thing I can say about when Sam was there. They usually don't do a full pan up and down, but when Sam works for MLW, and I believe when she did the work for the NWA, she either wears flats or tennis shoes.
Yeah.
So it's a perspective of, you want your wrestlers, even if they're shorter, you want your wrestlers to look bigger than people interviewing them or the referees or people that are part of the story or part of the promotion, but aren't actually wrestlers.
Right.
So that's the one thing that I made note of, that down the line, that if they do have May doing interviews, they don't show you from the waist down usually. So don't wear the high heels.
Yeah.
Pop those off. And if you're interviewing somebody and you have to look up and hold the microphone up to them, that gives that person carte blanche, that they're the bigger person and they're to be looked at with honor.
Sure.
And it's nothing against the interviewee or the interviewer, but it's, you want to make your wrestlers bigger than life.
I couldn't agree more. And while I appreciate May Valentine, I like May Valentine as a person on social media. I like what she stands for when it comes to empowerment and, what she believes in, and how she's strongly, fiercely passionate about her beliefs. Just like you say, she draws a lot of the eyes. Sam Laterna, who's, equally as lovely to behold, is much more in the background. She's holding a microphone. She's not the center of attention, like you say. Yeah. If I were again, May's great. Got no problem with May staying. But if I were hiring, for a new company, it'd be Sam Laterna for me, for those reasons. Mike says, yeah, you can tell how short they are, the King Bees, when they run the ropes. Many can't rise up to lean into the rope. You can tell as it stutter steps from the ropes and off the rope maneuvers to the mat. Taylor Rising, he says, is very short. She's a prime example of what I wrote above.
Don't.
Oh, sorry, didn't read it. Come on, Mike. You gotta give me something here, buddy. Man, that's funny. I had a coworker who got called that by guys in the loading dock, and they didn't work there very much longer. Did you see, Jeremy, the EC3 Jack Stain promo?
Yeah.
What'd you think?
I like it. I like the promo. I didn't like that it's based there. I'm hoping that in between now and when it happens, there's a little bit more build up. They have more interactions. The promo, what they had their back and forth was great. I loved that. But just nothing really leading up to it yet. So.
There's some guys online saying, like Jax was fired with his, your reign will just be over, man. I'm like, that's Lord Cruz line from like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Like that wasn't anything. I thought it was great to see them start with a handshake, Dave.
Yeah.
And go from there. What did you think?
Well, it's one of these things. It's not going to be heel and face. They're both sort of straddling the line depending on how you look at it. If you like somebody that's just a badass and just goes in there, both of these guys could be heels or both could be faces. It's your perspective, but it's one of these things of I've seen Jax wrestle off and on. I've watched some of his matches before the Lightning One era. The guy can go. He's the utility player that you can just grab and insert into about any position in the NWA. And there's some people that are like, well, he won his match at Samhain, but why is he just jumping in there? What about Matt Cardona and what about Tom? Well, they're telling a story. Matt Cardona also works for MLW, who has an event on the 18th as well. So that's why they're inserting Jax. Jax can always be, in case of emergency, break glass.
Yeah.
I like that.
So it's one of these things that he doesn't have to always win. He has the pedigree to be able to be inserted wherever needed.
Yeah, I agree. And, Mike said earlier up in the chat there that it's a shame it looks like it's going to be a throwaway one match for Robart's tapings or something because it's Jack's freaking Dane. But and I do think that there's something for someone down the line to use that. I don't have 500,000 followers on NWA, kind of backdrop. What I have is, the pedigree. What I have is the ability. What I have is, being Godzilla Jack Stane, which he hasn't been in a while. But
Yeah.
well, I guess he did crush Tim Storm underneath that moniker. But and I think there is something that you can build momentum with there. But I don't know. It kind of feels like a bit of a throwaway. But James H. Jackson Jr. says it was like, here we go. We're having a match. It's a 3 to 5 minute promo. Now we wait till the match happens. Noob said, I got to go back up here. Sorry. I'm going to go back there. Hey, Sam, Retro. Retro, yeah, we're going to get to it after we get to the power highlights, all the stuff that we really like. We're going through here. Thought we'd start positively. I really like the main event of Power, Noob says last night. I do hope the NWA will do something for Natalia Markova this season of Power moving forward. I respect the opinion. I know you're a great Natalia Markova proponent. For me, unless something changes, I'm done with Natalia for now. I think it's time for, and you know what? Dave will talk about, not necessarily Markova, maybe he will, but in his fantasy booking tonight about who maybe should go away for a while. I don't know. What about you, Jeremy?
As far as hunt for the women's title, they need to pull her away from that for a while. Keep her paired up with Taylor Rising and have them go after the tag titles, I guess. But even then, if you're not going to give them to her, if you're not going to give them to them, kind of doing them a disservice. So it's a double-edged sword for her right now.
Yeah.
They've got a great tag team for tag team champions. They've got a great women's champion for women's champions. So, you don't want to play hot potato with the titles.
It's true. And like we've said, Markova would be a fine women's world champion with the correct build-up and when one or two people who are still around aren't there, like Camille and Kenzie. I think she'd be a good champ along the way. I just don't think right now. And I can't remember what else I was going to say about it, but there you go. Yeah, Mike says no problem using Jax as an emergency player. He is there. He's not leaving, but make it fucking mean something. They need at least 3 weeks full TV buildup. Yeah, they didn't do that for Samhain very well. The buildup wasn't there for anything really. So I would agree on that. I did like the line with EC3 though, guys, where he just kind of went like, you've done all those things. What do I have? I have this, and I have like, however he put it, I built what I have by beating guys like you, and then he just walked out. I thought that was great. BFT versus Magic Inc. I thought it was a good match. I'm like, this is going to be dull. It wasn't for me. I liked the ending. I thought CJ's involvement was solid. I thought that Magic Inc. looked better than ever, Dave. And for some reason, the Barker's growing on me, and I never thought the Barker would grow on me. How about you?
They are starting to gel a little better. I'm not sure if they're actually working out on the indies or what's happening, but I mean, they finally, I guess, have found their groove at least. They may not be winning all the time. That's the next thing, but it's one of these things that if they're going to work as a team, they just have to put themselves out there and start winning some matches, whether it be on NWA TV at the tapings or go out and hit the indies. The more time you have together with a tag team partner, you become the right hand, they become the left hand, and they have to work together. So it's one of these things of just do what needs to be done. I wouldn't mind seeing them going after the U.S. tag belts maybe after the first of the year.
Yeah. There is it's the little tiny things, like you guys know, that make me mark out like the fan that I am. And like back in the earlier days of Power as an opening segment example, when they were using Into the Fire, which I loved, my favorite theme song in the Lightning One era, right when the music hit a certain part, like it had just dropped into the chorus, it was time for a scene when Aldous throws back the curtain and you're watching them from behind with Camille behind them. Mm-hmm. And it was just like, it looks so good. And I bring it up because for some reason, the way that Magic Inc. comes out in their, pre-video scripted walk-in with CJ in front with the smoke and like the look on Cody James's face and, even the stupid cigarette in Jake Dumas's mouth. It's cold. It's fire, man. I'm telling you, it looks great. So there's something going on there. I don't know. They're getting better, or I'm just starting to fall for it. Jeremy, Pretty Empowered has security guards.
Right.
There's like two big giant dudes with their arms crossed, just kind of holding Kenzie's belt. They're out there with Kylie and Ella. It opens up some possibilities. Maybe. What did you think about them hiring security to keep people away?
Scared money don't make money.
Scared money don't make money. Explain. Jeez.
It's a smart move. You got your backup with you at all times. You can go around, say whatever you want, do whatever you want, and then stand back and let security step in front of you.
Yeah.
Step in for you. So in the wrestling world, if you got security with you, you pretty much write your own ticket then.
I thought unless there's going to be some involvement from males down the road, it might have been fun to have like a bunch of, quote unquote fangirls, as security. That might have been more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, guess we'll have to see what happens. I think there's possibilities that, it's nice to give another element than just being, the mean girls that they are. By adding that in. So I guess we'll see what happens. Mike says it's sad when Pretty Security looks like they sweep the floor after a circus. I don't know, man. Those guys look pretty big. They look like they're talent from, one of the the budding territories. Maybe, I don't know.
That's what I thought too. That's immediately what I thought. How long before we see these guys in the ring?
Yeah, exactly. Should only use security guards for airports. Look, guys, I'm finished with Blake Troop after he lost a submission match to Jack Stain, but here he is out.
It took you that long?
Well, I mean, I was hoping he could redeem himself with a submission victory over Jack Stain.
Yeah,
and we could go, oh, okay, there's something here, but he's taken on Koa Laxamona because he looked around. He looked around the dressing room for the toughest guy, and this is the guy he saw standing there. Like, I think he's done. Is there hope, Dave? Is there hope for Blake Troop?
Not by himself. Granted, Silvio is with him, but Silvio wrestles as well. So their best bet would be to team up and go after the U.S. tag belts. And it's one of these things of, it's almost like a Mutt and Jeff team where you have your big guy and your smaller guy, or almost like the Tom and Jerry Bulldogs.
Right.
Where the bigger one has to hold the little one back and all this. You have Silvio who does all the talking anyway. Just Troop's best bet would be to be the muscle and just have them tag up. He's not going anywhere as a singles wrestler, in my opinion.
Right.
Yeah.
Scott B. Hey, Scott, I don't think there was ever any chance of Troop beating Dane, especially now that Dane is getting a push. Yeah, I thought where the value might have lied is in having Blake Troop, who physically looks like $1 million, who has the pedigree and the look, and who just isn't doing very well, could get more of a rub by taking a win over Jax than by taking a loss. Like whatever was there for me is gone now. So, I mean, I don't know. But speaking of, is there any hope? Jeremy, Rolando, and Rush, buddy. They're looking for new spectaculars. Is this just finished now? Is it way past finished? Is it there's still life in it in the Freeman brothers, or what?
I kind of popped a little bit for this. I'm not gonna lie. I actually debated on submitting my application so I could get my little bow tie and go LeMay trunks and go out there and do the damn thing. And
I would back that.
Fucking senses. You may have beaten Matt Cardona twice, but no.
Yeah.
Bad Rolando, bad Rush.
Just off the couch. Yeah.
No, I did kind of pop though. It's funny. It's something for him to do. I'm gonna try and be positive about this. It's something for them to do.
Yeah.
Rolando is a character. Rush, given the opportunity, is as well. And maybe this could flourish into the next fixtures.
Maybe. Any guesses, either one of you guys, about who it would go in? Who would fill that role?
I really have no idea about who could possibly be the new spectacular, but I will talk about it in my fantasy booking.
Oh, nice.
I do like what they're doing, and in getting some of these. Oh, we need you to send in a tape. They're using social media in a good way, and building up a story without taking up time on the power program. So it's one of these things that I'm actually looking forward to see what they do with it. Who knows where we'll go, but I too would have liked to see Brady Pierce stick around to push the story of the Iron Claw, but I really don't know why he left. I do know he does wrestle for Wildcat Wrestling. So I believe he's either was their champion or is their champion. So it may be duty calls and it was time for him to move on or go back to his home promotion.
Or maybe he can put on a mask and become Cryon.
Don't give him an idea.
Don't give him any ideas.
Yeah.
Mike said I didn't mind the spectacular segment. He kind of beat me to the punch on this one, especially if it keeps him on TV. Yeah. But want to see how they came about agreeing for the commercial. Will they do a tough enough type thing for a recruit? This is my idea when I saw it was like maybe just every week have like, you know, and forgive me because I don't like some of the names, but like Gags the Gimp with a bow tie coming out. Here's your comedy bit right there, right? It writes itself. What if they tried Max the Impaler out as a spectacular, you know? They're a comedy duo. Let them do their comedy bit, I guess. But what if they approach people and try to make them spectaculars, make them offers, like people who would never take it? You know, like hey, EC3, yeah, you know, bow tie. What do you say? Just what? Tom Latimer. How would he react?
I like that.
We'll see what happens. Two names, by the way, since you're talking about it, she'll probably leave the NWA. That's Blake Troop and Natalia Markova. Natalia will probably be signed to WWE since they've been recruiting women, and Blake Troop, he can do GCW. We'll see if Dave gets into that in the fantasy booking. I didn't want to miss this one. James H. Jackson said the main event for Blizzard Brawl, at Blizzard Brawl, is on Saturday, December 2nd at the Waukesha County Expo Center in Wisconsin. The world title match, it's EC3 versus Matt Cardona. That's pretty good.
Waukesha.
Waukesha?
Waukesha, Wisconsin.
All right.
Yep.
Yeah, Scott says if the spectaculars are going to stick around, they have to start doing something. Yeah, they gotta be given some meat to bite into, that's for sure. Anything else you guys liked about Power you wanted to throw in before we move on, or
nothing for me.
Nothing for me.
It was a good show. I mean, it wasn't the greatest Power, but I liked it, and I liked the way for the tag matches look strong, and it was good overall. Makes me excited for this round of taping. There's a lot of speculation, a lot of innuendo, a lot of rumors about what's going on with the NWA, and there's a pretty good chance that since this show started, somebody has posted something about the National Wrestling Alliance and, you know, what happened with the fallout from NWA, Sawin, and the what's just kind of being called the cocaine segment. So we know it's not cocaine, but there it is, right? That's what it's being called.
Tim, one thing that I did notice, they made mention during the BFT Magic match, CJ interfering. They mentioned possibly CJ and Aaron going at it in the future. While I don't like a mixed match like that, intergender, I could see Aaron possibly bringing in a female to join Blunt Force Trauma.
Yeah.
That's good. I don't know who, but I think it would round out that group.
Would CJ be a good addition to that group?
I don't know. It's one of these things that she's a very good wrestler, and she needs to wrestle, not just be a valet.
Yeah.
Right.
That I could see possibly Aaron getting in the ring with her and going, hey, here's some money. I can make you more money if you come over to my side.
Right.
It's one of these things of them moving up and down the ladder. You have a female wrestler that is not wrestling. which I don't understand at all.
A good one.
Yeah.
And yes,
Yeah.
it blows me away that, granted, I'm like, hey, more power to you. You're making money and you're not having to do that much. But I would be willing to pay more money to see you actually in a wrestling ring.
Right. Yeah. I occasionally like to tweet at Billy, let her wrestle, because a year or so ago, that's what she said. You got to tweet Billy and tell him I got to, to do more if you want to see me in the ring.
Yep.
So, there is a lot of stuff that's potentially maybe going wrong for the NWA, and we'll get to that, and maybe it's bad, and maybe it's frankly all just bullshit. But which certainly a large portion of it sits in the realm of BS. But there's a lot of things that have gone right for the NWA, and I think it's important to to remember some of that stuff. So, like, they just had a taping right after Samhain, and we got a power pretty much right away. And now we've got this. We've got Return to Robarts, going back to in sort of a Austin Idol tribute show to the Robarts Arena in Sarasota, where there's a history for the NWA there that they want to play on, and that's on the 18th, guys. It's just down the road. That's exciting for them.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Billy Corgan with his announcement coming up December 2nd in Tennessee at Joe Kazana Promotions, where everyone is, got their money riding on there's your new territory, your next territory.
Yep.
That's exciting. We've got Camille tweeting about how, she actually said today, well, don't worry, I'll still be on TV next year. Kind of being cheeky, but then saying afterwards, I'm talking about this movie. I did this movie about Mildred Burke, where she's playing June Byers.
Mm-hmm.
That's exciting for her as well. So there's stuff going on there. There's also the Iron Claw movie, which, as we mentioned earlier, is debuting in December. It's debuting early December, very, very shortly. Some early viewings already were told. And, also, like, even with Samhain, although there's mixed reports about how well it did, Joe Galley and others have said it's the most successful pay-per-view in the Lightning One era. It's been popular. And I think it's important to remember that we have this positivity, and beyond that, even when you get to the bones of this stuff, the stories are making more sense for me from start to finish.
Yeah.
The matches seem, you can get 3 to 4 of them on an episode of Power now. They go to them quick. They don't go on forever.
Mm-hmm.
They've got a purpose. They're like you often say, Dave, make it make sense. There's more of that. I think that the tapings are more frequent, not even just with the Robart one. I get that sense that they're happening more frequently, but I'd have to check on that. But that I even feel that is evidence to me about how it's working so much better. And we got that studio feel with the promos. And I feel like, like Fuzzy had said in the past, I feel like if you look at it now versus where it was a year ago, where we were as an NWA fan kind of going, what's going on, right? That we've come a long way. Jeremy, do you feel it, or am I selling myself a bill of goods?
No, there's definitely been a significant shift in how things are going. And it's a really good thing. Like you said, they're getting more action packed into an episode. And at the end of the day, while segments and stuff help fill time, if you could get another match in there, why not? Instead of putting up a shitty, two shitty 3-minute segments, give me one decent 6-minute match.
Right.
So yeah, there's a definite shift, and it's a shift in the proper direction.
Do you agree, Dave, with the studio upgrades and production upgrades, or is the bones underneath all that meat, are they set out better for you?
It does seem to be finding its footing, but it's one of these things of the NWA always seems to do 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And it's like the party mode that they went into at Samhain.
Yeah.
They didn't have to show that. They chose to.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that they need to start thinking, if we're going to be on network TV or even a network app, we need to put our best foot forward, keep it simple, but make sure the storylines make sense and just don't do anything stupid. It's one of these things of, as much as I like the wrestler under the mask as gags, I don't like the character. It's not a quote unquote family friendly character. It's one of these things that they keep, it's a tongue in cheek that somebody said, hey, why don't we get a wrestler and make them a gimp? They like pain. They'll never give up. Well,
right.
It's one of these things of, they're almost going back to the time of WWF when they were, let's do occupational wrestling. Let's have a dentist. Let's have a trash man. Let's do this. Let's do that. No, wrestlers are wrestlers. There's a reason they're wrestling. They're not clowns. They're not gimps. They're not this. They're not that. They're wrestlers. Just let them wrestle.
Right.
But it's one of these things that they just need to figure out how to keep going forward without missing a step.
You got to get 2 steps forward without having that step backward.
Yeah. It's one of these things of just always put your best foot forward, put the best matches that you can down on paper, and build up for your next pay-per-view.
So, let's get to the meat of the matter. And I said just a few minutes ago, probably something came out within the last since we started this show, and it did. So we'll get to that in a second. But look, for the stuff that's maybe going, I'm going to do this again. Wrong with the NWA, maybe. Let's just kind of do a bit of a loose timeline. So Corgan's on Busted Open Radio early October, right? This is when it first came out. He announces he's got a top 20 network deal for 2 shows. I think he said then was 2 shows. And he shouldn't say anything and the whole bit. I agree, by the way. You shouldn't say anything until, everything's, tapped out in stone. So he says that. And then on the 18th of October, House of Wrestling, that's Nick Houseman. And I'll admit, I don't know anything about Nick Houseman. Other than that, he has everyone on all of the big sites right now reporting on what he said. He reported that those 2 TV deals had been with the CW, and they were Power and a reality show, which was widely reposted, like I said, by everyone, and then never corroborated by anyone, including the NWA, who perhaps quite wisely stands mute. Yeah, hey, Fuzzy, House of BS, am I right? Yeah, probably. So then we go to Samhain, and you got the cocaine gate happening up on the stage. So then on November 4th, House of Wrestling, the only one, reports that TV deal is now in jeopardy, that their CW has watched it, they didn't like it, that they're going to put them on the CW app most likely moving forward, that the cocaine spot had been Corgan's idea. Again, the NWA stands mute, and it's not corroborated by anybody else. It's reported on by everybody else, but not corroborated. Also on November 4th, I believe this is the date, Samantha Starr apparently on a podcast called Perched on the Top Rope confirms that the NWA has been working on a reality show for a year, on and off for a year, and that it has been filmed, and she's excited that it's going to be coming out soon. Yesterday, you got Wade Keller of PW Torch, reputable site, right, guys? Pro Wrestling Torch says that in his podcast says that he understands that the CW was willing to offer an 8-figure deal, and he that is. I don't know what he says because I'm not behind his paywall, unfortunately, but that's what is being reported that came out. And then a number of people may leave out of frustration now that this whole thing has happened. This is yesterday. Same date as that, yesterday. Fightful reports what? That NXT is moving to CW. Boom goes the dynamite. And everyone goes, well, if you believe that they just went to CW yesterday and said, yeah, we're going to take whatever deal you're offering, you're crazy. That's got to have been in the works for quite a while. And you have to sort of start weighing, well, if they were talking to CW, and I'm sure other people, how much legitimacy what is it that they were talking in to the NWA? We don't know. We can only speculate. Yeah. So then we come back to House of Wrestling today to finish up the timeline. And they're saying that the NWA, so this is Nick Hausman again, that the NWA talent is frustrated by Mr. Corgan's leadership, that he gives them tests of loyalty, and ends up printing this weird long note from EC3 that in a conversation that he had with him that I won't get into because the reporting on it for the first time, I think, really made me go, I'm not sure how much of this is just, clickbait, and how much of this is like what nugget of truth is there in this. Controversy is where I've landed. Creates cash. This is, I think, where I am at the end of this little timeline here. Is the Eric Bischoff line, right? And the NWA stands mute. Everybody's talking about it. Eric Bischoff's pissed off about it on 83 Weeks. Who got over? He said, right? Who got over? Jim Mitchell? He didn't get over from this. He's Jim Mitchell. He hasn't been relevant, blah, 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 blah. But Conrad's talking about it. Fightful's talking about it. Cultaholic's talking about it. Meltzer's been talking about it for a couple of weeks now. I guess the two questions I have out of this is the NWA smart by just standing mute? And, they will announce it when they're ready to announce it. And two, how much of this is bullshit? Because I'm willing to bet that it's probably 90%. that's my look. I do want to talk about that part of it. Let me just finish up because I guess the last thing of the timeline is I got Fightful up here saying they are quoting Drew Garabo live, Billy Corgan addressing NWA deals in an interview that went up today. TV deals, this is a quote, TV deals are at the core of it, and there's been a ton of speculation lately and I stand by what I said. We have 2 TV deals with a top 20 network. That's all I can say for now. There is lots of speculation that's not true, but I can stand here and say, hand on heart, that is absolutely true. And I come back to you guys with the questions in a second. Let's just run down this because I want to make sure everyone's heard in the chat. If we don't hear Mike Johnson report, it's probably not true as he's the wrestling journalist. Fuzzy says Billy's interview today says he was recording a reality show at 75. Yes, he was. Mike says, yes, that's what's being reported. That's why I mentioned that Billy either got worked or due to insufflation segment, the CWA said, nope, you're on the app. Oh, okay. Hardly anyone used the app, less the diehard. And Top Tony Network, again, 2 shows. The boss is out there. It was so stupid. Look, how much of this is bullshit in your estimation, Dave, and like all of this stuff going around? Do you think the NWA is enjoying it, or is it anything into it?
I mean, it's definitely getting the NWA name out there. Whether it's good or bad, people are hearing about the NWA. I was hoping more for a positive spin on it, and everybody's saying, oh, the CW. Well, we don't know. The only people that know are the CW and Billy and maybe a handful of other people in the NWA that Billy trusts. It's one of these things. If he signs something, maybe he's not allowed to actually break it until it's broken by that TV network. If they're doing reality TV, that's cool. A&E does a lot of reality programming. So it may be A&E. It may be, I don't know. It may be My Network TV. Who knows? There's all these different television networks that could have a hand in this. But it's one of these things that I think the less said, the more suspense it builds up. If it is CW, that's cool, but they just signed a deal. Do they have the money to have all this wrestling? Or if they bring WWE in with NXT, is it a conflict of interest if they have other wrestling programs on that network?
Right.
If they bring NXT in, it's at least 75% chance, if not 100% chance, that it's during primetime television. That it's 8 to 10 Eastern time, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's going to be one of those days. So they need to figure out if it stays on Tuesday, if it's 8 to 10, it's the same as what it was on USA.
Right.
But then if there's also NWA wrestling, WOW wrestling, any other type of wrestling that may be on the CW, it would be local programming. That it's outside of the primetime showtimes. It may be 3 a.m. on a Friday. It may be on a Saturday at noon. It's one of these things. As long as it isn't a conflict of interest with WWE/NXT, I believe CW is able to do whatever they can, that they just, here's this programming, put it where you want it outside of these hours. So who knows what's going to happen, but there could be several different wrestling promotions on the CW, just not on the same day or at the same time. So we'll see what happens.
Jeremy, when you're reading this and, you've always struck me as a guy with a critical eye. You know, you can smell bullshit in the air, regardless whatever theater of war it might be in. How much BS do you think is part of is this here? Is there a lot? Is there a little? Do you think there's something in the center of all this that's true?
The only thing that I do know that is true is that the NWA has a TV deal. They have 2 of them. Until the NWA or whoever the TV deal is with announces it and posts it up on the Twitter machine, and then you have sites like Variety and the New York Post reporting on it and saying the NWA has signed a deal with this television channel, like NXT got for theirs. Both the New York Post and Variety put out articles about the NXT deal with the CW. It's all bullshit.
Yeah. Boom. It's all bullshit till something's in stone.
I as much as I love wrestling journalism, and I'm putting air quotes up on that, with the exception of a few, are some of the worst fucking people on the face of this planet and run with whatever story crawls out of their puckering asshole.
Well, tell us what you really mean.
They suck.
Yeah.
Big, floppy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, man. You know, and I was looking at all this today. I was saying to my wife, I can't keep up. It just keeps going. You know, there's something new every 2 hours. Just you write the words National Wrestling Alliance into the Google machine and hit news, and you'll see something new.
Yeah.
You know, you follow the Discord, there's something new. And earlier today, it just kind of this is for what you just said, I think, Jeremy. It just kind of hit me today. I'm like, I don't know why it took me so long to kind of just understand, or what I believe to be true, is that the NWA is just like, this is great.
It's free publicity.
Let it happen.
Yeah.
Let's have another interview, and let's see what House of Wrestling says, and let's see what Uncle Dave says, and you know, nobody say anything. You know, I'm sure that Mr. Corgan is saying, you know, I'll let you guys know when something can be said.
The human imagination is one of the most powerful tools that we have.
Yeah.
And whenever you put a nugget out there, like the NWA has a TV deal, and then somebody's like, oh, well, I found out that it was with this person. Then from that point on, people's imaginations start running wild. You know, there were people in the live chat on last night's episode that were spouting off all kinds of nonsense about the TV deal. And it's like, bro, no one but a couple of wrestling journalists have came out and said the NWA has a deal with the CW, and you guys are just running with it.
Yeah, it promotes the problem.
Yeah.
I guess in a way we kind of are too. I mean, we're trying to say it's speculation, and it's rumors. We don't know anything.
Yep.
This entire segment is the Seinfeld of TOAG segments. We don't know anything. We're not about anything right now, other than just to say I think that the NWA, if they've been getting this right or wrong for doing the Cocaine Gate segment, right or wrong, I think that they're much smarter than we're giving them credit for right now. Because you'll see so many of us online going, I can't believe they blew this deal with this segment. And I kind of wonder, was there ever a segment? Well, all right, was there ever a deal, rather? Was there, or do they quite precisely know what they're doing at this time? James H. Jackson says, is WoW still on CW? I don't know. But something Jay and I were talking about earlier today is like, if Coke has a deal, with an arena or something, they don't let Pepsi in the door, and I like, if the idea is maybe it doesn't matter, like AEW, and Dave and I were talking before the show, AEW is on WWE's radar to keep an eye on, but they don't matter. Not really. It's a different, like it's pro wrestling, but it's a different audience, and pro wrestling is stupidly tribal.
Yeah.
And if you look at the ratings, my favorite part of any Cornet podcast, you'll see the difference between the two, and why NXT got put up against Dynamite instead of SmackDown or Raw or anything else. It's, but that being said, read Capital Revolution, the book, The Rise of the McMahon Empire. Read The Fall of WCW. You'll see that there isn't a company in the wrestling business like WWE who does a better job than they do of snuffing out everything in their path. They won't. I would be very surprised. I'll say that. I'd be very surprised if they went to CW for NXT and NWA had a show there. But that's fun to speculate. And really that's about all there is. Jay says, like, yeah, right now they're still on the CW.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you were trying to tell people it's all bullshit. Let me go back to some of this. There are 20 networks in the top 20. James says he's not wrong. So I'll have to wait and see which one it is. Jay says, look, number one, a deal with WWE and CW had zero impact on anything in the NWA. Number two, big money deals don't happen overnight. Reread that carefully. Right? They take months. And that got announced yesterday or today or whatever? Yesterday. So timing is everything. And I kind of think that, maybe we all ought to calm down with Nick Hausman on the internet. Another thought, if Fuzzy says, if Conrad and Meltzer and such are willing to speak NWA, does it maybe mean that they know that the NWA is more legit and newsworthy because of the TV deal, so they are engaging? Great point, Fuzzy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like Jeremy said, he knows one thing, right? There's 2 TV deals out there and they belong to the NWA.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's about it. James says, give credit to PW Insiders. They didn't run with any of this stuff. Sometimes that's the best move. Mike says, Jeremy agreed to what you were saying. It's because the so-called journalists said that out of speculation, but not saying so is why people are clamoring. And we're just so excited. We're so excited for the idea of a television deal for the company that we know and love.
Well,
but
can I jump in?
Yeah, of course.
TV is a lot like radio in that they have programs on, and you know that, okay, every day at 5 o'clock, you're going to have the 5 o'clock news. You're going to have the 6 o'clock news. You're going to have syndicated programming on at certain times. Well, that's where you have your primetime programming, which NXT would fall under.
Yeah.
They would be on from 8 to 10, Monday through Friday, whichever day they choose. They're there. But then you also have, if you've watched any of your local TV stations, on the weekends, they have paid programming. This is sponsored by so-and-so. I mean, they have all these different programs that they fit in, 30-minute spots, an hour. Now, Billy has said that there's a deal for TV for 2 programs. What if one paid for the other? if his reality show, the only way that you get the reality show is to take the wrestling.
That could be.
It's not a conflict of interest unless WWE brings it up and says, no, we don't want any other wrestling. It's not during their time period. It's not shown on the same day. It's not a conflict of interest. It's just like when there's on your local radio and TV, when there's an election, that you can have 3 people running for governor of this certain state, as long as those spots don't run back to back. Those commercials can't run back to back, but they can run at any time. As long as there's something in between, it's not a conflict of interest. So it's one of these things that WOW is shown on CW locally here in Baltimore on Sundays at noon. As long as there's no other wrestling program within an hour on either side, it's not a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
So it's one of these things that if the reality show is the show that he is selling to the CW, then as a tag on, we want these shown back to back. We want the wrestling shown, then the behind the scenes shown.
Yeah.
So it may be a package deal.
I wonder for the WWE though, guys, if it's, because we're all adults in this chat room. Everybody knows business to one degree or another. And, my pond's pretty small, but I know that if I'm going into a media deal in my head and I say, okay, here's my product. And, I say, I don't want any other wrestling on the network while we're doing this. That's part of the deal. That if it's, Tim, the Tim Pro Wrestling Alliance doesn't, we get to show other wrestling. You don't have a monopoly here as long as it's not anywhere near your programming. I'm going to go, understood. And maybe I take my business elsewhere. If I'm as powerful as the WWE is, I feel like you can make demands, that other competitors can't make. And I wonder, we're speculating ourselves, but
Yes.
I wonder if maybe that's the case as well. Anyway, look, I want to say this, guys, and it would be wrong of me to speculate that that House of Wrestling is making any or all of this stuff up. It would be equally wrong of me if I felt that they were. Great. I don't know, but it would be equally wrong of me, not that I'm a wrestling journalist, to speculate that they're speculating. That just follows for me. But take a look at the reporting. Look at the way it's written. See what it says. And ask yourself, is this coming from a reputable source? And why isn't it being corroborated anywhere else? And I think those are fair questions and questions to ask, right? So I'll leave it at that. Nick Khan, James A. Jackson Jr. says, Nick Khan said they got more than 70% of this rights deal for NXT from the last rights deal. They got 70% more on this rights deal. Okay, for NXT than the last rights deal. A big increase. Big numbers, as always, with the WWE. Let's talk about another promotion, though, in a segment we like to call Championship Wrestling from Jeremy.
I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
The following is a presentation of the United Wrestling Network.
It's time for Championship Wrestling from Jeremy.
So nothing and lots going on at the same time in the UWN, buddy.
So we've had nothing. We got no UWN Vault episode this past week. There is news incoming from the UWN later this week. In Memphis, we got nothing really match-wise from them, but they will be having Eric Young and Jason Alexander from Impact showing up on Sunday, November the 19th. They will be doing the Brighton Brawl 2 on December the 1st, and then December the 10th, the Grind City Rumble is coming back with special guest Warhorse. He rules ass.
Wah, wah, wah.
Sorry for the cheap sheet. It's the cheap seats over here. He's giving me the glare now.
I remember this guy popping up like around the pandemic time, hearing about him, and then I don't want to say he faded into non-existence, because obviously that's not the case, but I hadn't heard anything about him in a while, and he's popping up in Memphis.
You want to know why that is? I'm not a fan. Okay, anyway, carry on. He is an indie name, though.
Yeah. It'll bring some eyes to it'll probably bring some eyes to the product, hopefully.
Yeah.
You know, it's not. I don't want to poo-poo on the guy. He's, you know, he has a following, a little cult-like following, like Danhausen and stuff, you know, and he's gotten over. So, you know, go roll ass in Memphis for a day, bro.
Sounds awesome. It seems like a place that names show up and have a good time and move on, right?
Yeah. And and Dustin does good business. You know, he's a smart businessman. He has a solid vision and game plan for where he sees Memphis and how they're operating. So it'll be good. I'm sure it will.
You know, you've had Thunder Rosa, you've had Moose for the Grind City Rumble. You've got Alexander showing up, like you just said, right?
Yeah.
And a special guest Warhorse. Sorry. But they do have some, like you said, where we are. I can't do these things right, man. Where the hell are the here? Wait, I got it. All right.
There it is.
You're not going to be able to read that anyway, but this was the press release showing all of the stations that Memphis Wrestling. You know what? This one's probably better. You know, they announced recently through the Peachtree Sports Network, we're in Atlanta, Albany, Augustus, Columbus, Macon. You know, and that's Derby and that's Championship Wrestling, and that was a little while ago as well. So it looked good for Memphis. They had a great TV deal going on, which seems to be intact. It looked like things were going well for Championship Wrestling and Derby. And then, like you mentioned, Dave Marquez put this out on Facebook 3 days ago. Next week, I'll have an update for all things on all things Championship Wrestling and Derby City Wrestling.
Yes.
So it's coming, and it's coming. I guess this week.
Fingers crossed, and hopefully it's good. I will leave you with this. If you're not watching or paying attention to United Wrestling Network and all its affiliated partners, may your turkey be dry and your dinner rolls burnt.
I look forward to the not that I like trying to rush through the segment, but I always love the ending. Thank you, buddy. Well, we go back to the NWA now as our fantasy booker. Dave Scooby checks in with his segment. I respect you, Booker Man. So, Dave.
Yes.
I keep forgetting to put these things up, and I write them in every week. Who in the NWA would benefit from just going away for a little while? We would talk about this earlier. What do you got?
Well, like the old saying says, we can't miss you if you don't go away.
Right.
First off, I mean, you have the storyline of the Brothers of Construction and La Rebellion. They have their own thing happening. It's taking up space, in my opinion, taking up space that the NWA could use for other wrestlers to wrestle.
Mm-hmm.
Take this storyline, and you're having territories now. If JCP is going to be a territory, keep this story going there. You have Exodus Pro, take it there, or take it down to Mexico and keep the storyline going. Then have these guys come back at Crockett Cup to prove something.
Right.
Have a best of 5 series, have a best of 7 series before Crockett Cup. It will make you, it's almost a refresh, a restart. Both of these teams are good, but they're doing their own thing. They're telling their own story that isn't part of the NWA. So
Right.
until there's a definite winner, one or both of these teams, in my opinion, would do well in disappearing for a while, because they really don't seem to have any interaction with anybody inside the NWA besides each other.
Okay.
Now, if Polka Dot Pam is watching, I do apologize, Pam, but hear me out. Chris Adonis has been on a losing streak. He's lost 3 of the last 4 matches since 75. He's a name that can help build others. He doesn't need to win all the time, but he does need to win. Now he can be built back up either as a singles challenger for almost any title, or put in a tag team. And here's my idea. You're having all these people send in submissions for a certain tag team. How does Spectacular Chris Adonis sound?
Actually, kind of on point, isn't it?
Put him with Rush. He can whip Rush into shape for a season or 2. Work with him as a tag team. Have the team break up. And the storyline is that Rush can't keep a partner. That he brings in 1 or 2 other people besides Chris Adonis. They end up having a match to see whoever the winner is becomes a new Spectacular. They end up can't work. Okay, move on to the next one. Move on to the next one. It could be a continuous seasonal storyline that Rush can't keep a partner, so he goes to the next person. It's just one of those things that it gets people on TV. It would keep Adonis in the NWA. He's a name that people recognize, but he's almost stepping back to put someone else in the spotlight.
Right.
Another person, whatever happened with Roxy? She disappeared. She came out right before Samhain. Then nothing. Either use her or lose her. Bring her back in to go after, find a tag partner and go after the tag belts, or build her up to possibly go after Kenzie and a shot at the Burke. You're giving everyone else a shot. Either use her or lose her. She's quote unquote a local talent from the Tennessee area, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things that if I don't know if she was just in the janitor's closet and they finally opened the door and she came running out, but finish the story. Another thing, Troop. If he can't win a submissions match and he's an MMA fighter, he needs to either walk away or become a tag team with Chris Silvio. That the storyline has been told with him and Jax, and he didn't come out looking good in any of the matches they had. So it's either move up or move on. Now, Samantha Starr. Oh, go ahead, Tim.
No, I just agreed 100%.
Okay. Samantha Starr. She ended up winning that 4-way match at Solin on the pre-show. She'll be going against Kenzie. What happens after she goes against Kenzie? I don't see her winning. Nothing against it. Kenzie and Pretty Empowered have a stranglehold on those titles. So what happens? She needs to either step up or step out. This talent that is NWA quote unquote talent or has been used and haven't grown, use them in your territories.
Right.
It's one of those things that there's so many titles out there that the NWA has. Defend them at these different territories. And I mean, with 2 or 3 different territories that they have, plus their own pay-per-views and their own tapings, you'll have shows every 3 to 4 weeks. So it's one of these things. Use your talent, rotate your talent. If they're growing stale, move them to a territory. Let that territory use them for, if they have TV, for TV tapings, or if they have a pay-per-view, for that pay-per-view. Same thing with Natalia Markova. She's with Taylor Rising doing the tag team thing. If they can't work out and they didn't win, they either go their separate ways, or, I mean, Natalia still has paybacks on Max from Hard Times. So if Markova can either go after Max for the TV title, or if Max hits that lucky 7, Markova could go and be one of the finalists for a chance at that TV title. She's put in her time and she's done whatever was asked of her. I believe she'd be a good TV champ down the line.
I agree.
So it's one of those things. Use them or lose them, but with the territories that the NWA is picking up, have these talents go away and show up at these territories. They're still NWA talent. They're just not on TV right now.
Right.
So it's one of those things of just, they're in a rotation. That nothing against, like Sal and Gags are back with Father Mitchell. We're not sure what's going to happen due to the incident that happened at Samhain. Who knows what happens? Max may just do Max's thing and not be affiliated with Father Mitchell anymore.
Right.
But if they are going on TV, I don't see a person like Gags being family friendly. That if you're going to be on late night like ECW was back in the day, okay, cool. You can have a weird Gags the Gimp character on TV. But if you're on at 12 noon on a Saturday or Sunday, there's certain wrestlers or characters that don't belong on TV where anybody can see them.
Agreed.
So it's one of these things that they just need to figure out who they're going to use, rotate the characters in and out. And I mean, they were going 2 months at a time between pay-per-views and tapings. So you're not going to miss somebody if they're not there for 2 months, 4 months, 6 months, because there's only so much time. And with NWA USA not being filmed now, there's less opportunity for people to be on TV. So you really need to stand out. And I think the NWA just needs to put their best foot forward and be as safe as possible right now. Once you've proven yourself, then you can become a little edgy.
I agree.
I'd stay as safe as possible going into a possibility of TV on a mainstream network.
Right. And if you're not going to, and they're not, embrace that extreme, storyline stuff, I mean, they're never going to be Rob Black's XPW. That's not what we're going for. There's no Christy Mist on your roster or whatever. Then why bother?
Yeah.
That just seems silly. I think you're bang on with all of those names right then and there. And I like to pop these up as you're talking, but I'll go back through them. Mike says gags. Adonis is what Jay said. Nubit said Natalia Markova. She's not being built up to be a champ. Billy's just building her up to get signed elsewhere and get indie bookings. Jay likes the idea of bringing Adonis back with Poyo.
Yeah,
that'd be fun. I like Fuzzy's there. Rush getting passed around. Yeah, like anything. Shut up now. I'll leave that to Mike.
Like a bottle of Crown, passed around like a bottle of Crown.
There you go. Mike said, notice Troop did not say his full catchphrase. No, he just went, yeah, bang, bang, right? I felt like Sylvia or someone else just told him, enough of that for now. Let's just cut it down a little bit and let's let Chris Silvio do the talking.
Yeah.
By the way, on the very off chance Chris is listening, huge fan of his mic work. Maybe number one in the NWA overall. I got the perfect T-shirt for him. I just thought of it today. Power of attorney.
I like that.
I'll have to tweet that one to him. He can have that for free on the record. I think Troop and Silvio do team this season, Jay is saying. Fuzzy says Troop needs to go, in my humble opinion. I don't see him developing on the mic. Mike Wood thinks that the Troop should team up. That's the plan, allegedly. Bring back Marty Bell. Yeah, man. I don't need Allison Kay for the same reasons Dave was talking about. It's not time yet. I'm good. But Marty Bell just never quite got that spotlight I thought that she deserved in the NWA. Thought she was a better worker, but she always was portrayed as being like, half step behind Allison Kay is how I always viewed her.
Like the little sister.
Yeah, the little sister. That's well said. I don't like, Fuzzy says, Silvio Blake for one reason. I think the big guy, little guy tag teams are weird in-ring dynamic in general. Yeah, like Talos and Kill, right? That Bang Bang was great prep help. And Noob rather see her go, Natalia go elsewhere. So there you go. Great as always, Dave. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I don't think you were wrong with any name that you picked there. Listen, let's get out of here. Let's. I just want to mention this. Yeah, Mercurio and Markova, who I believe have a wrestling school in Florida. I've heard some rumors that they might be NWA connected as well in the, not only currently, because we know that they were at, we saw the picture online and they were at Mr. Corrigan's wedding. So there's a friendship there, but perhaps there's an opportunity for territorial work within their operation. So that would be nice too. I have heard something about that, but again, only speculation. Yeah, and Alex Taylor has been working on his craft too. I like what Fuzzy posted in the Discord. Hey, Alex figured out what to do with his arms. He just kind of stands there. That was good. All right, guys, let's get out of here. Dave, tell us where they can find you on social media.
You can find me at Dave Scooby on Twitter, X, also on Instagram, and at Dave Scooby, followed by the number 1 on TikTok.
Nice. How about you, Jer?
You can find me over on Twitter at HJWOTS and everywhere else at Championship Wrestling Jeremy.
You can find me on X Twitter and my probably, I'm going to guess conservatively, 100 fake female fembots who follow as well as all the other social media platforms at the Alliance Gold, but most importantly, alliance-wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information around the NWA. And on all the socials at the Alliance blog, everywhere you go, that's where they are. Tune in tomorrow night, please. 8 p.m. Pacific. We lost Dave. There he is. 8 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Tomorrow night, it's JCal, it's DKM, it's Jaden. They're the OG. They're the masters. And they'll be breaking down Power. They'll be talking to each other about all of this stuff here that we've been talking about today with a greater depth of knowledge, I'm sure, than I can muster. Did you guys see the pre-Power? You had Jeremiah Plunkett was on the pre-Power yesterday. So
Plunkettitis!
Yeah, so tune in. You got to watch the pre-party, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. It's right the hour before Power, so Jay can lead you into Power and what's going to happen on that show every single week. Good night, boss. Thanks for showing up. 100 fake female fembots for NWA. Oh, hilarious. And on that note, thank you, everybody. Really appreciate you being here. Until next time, we'll see you at the matches.
Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are The Alliance.